Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The date is May 3rd, 2021. The time is now 7:02 p.m. We have a public hearing this evening that precedes tonight's council meeting. The public hearing will be on Ordinance 1051 concerning a moratorium on the issuance of permits and other administrative actions during pending litigation. This will be an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government articles of the annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of establishing a moratorium on the issuance of permits and other administrative action during the pendency of litigation. This is Ordinance 1051. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience here this evening who wishes to speak on this ordinance? Okay, fair enough. Is there any council member that wishes to speak on Ordinance 1051?
I'm good.
Okay, with no comments from the audience and no comments received from the council, I now declare public hearing on Ordinance 1051 to be closed. Good evening. We hold call to order a council meeting of the mayor and the city council of Havre de Grace. The time is 7:04. I will call the roll call. Council President Glenn.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson.
Here.
Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Thank you very much. If everybody could please join me for Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If I could kindly ask everybody just to remain standing for a few more moments. I'd like to call forward Pastor Bo Van Dyke of Christ the King Church. Pastor, it's always a pleasure to have you in our chambers. Thank you and welcome.
It's an honor to be here. Been a long time.
It has.
Way too long.
It has. Well, we're back now.
You all look healthy, and that's a good thing.
God willing.
Shall we go to the Lord in prayer? Father, we do give thanks for this opportunity to gather together with the City Council and Mayor, City of Havre de Grace. And tonight, Lord, we just give honor to you and thank you, Lord, for keeping us, for protecting your people, bringing us through this time of crisis and this pandemic. We know, God, that you are in control of all things. And we just thank you that you are watching over our city. We pray, Lord, tonight that you would establish a hedge of protection over Havre de Grace, from the river to Robin Hood Road, from the state line to the bay. Lord, would you just protect this city from all evil, ill, harm, and illness. We pray tonight for the City Council, for our Mayor, Bill Martin, for all of the department heads, the police, the water department, the streets, all of the departments. We pray, God, that your grace would rest upon them and that you would protect them. Give this City Council and the Mayor divine wisdom as they do the business of our city. Protect them, keep them and their families safe, and for all those gathered here, we pray also the same. We honor you tonight. We thank you for this time together. And in the days ahead, Lord, give this body divine wisdom in doing the business of the City of Havre de Grace. And for this and all things, we honor you, Lord, and give thanks in Jesus' name. Can you say amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Pastor, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you soon, sir. Thank you. Item 5 on this evening's agenda is the approval of minutes from the City Council meeting of April 19th, 2021. Council, I have a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I have a motion by Carolyn Zinner. Councilmember Zinner, do I have a
Second.
Second? Seconded by Councilmember Martin. Comments or questions before we vote on the minutes from April 19th? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The April 19th, 2021 council meeting minutes are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item number 6. Item number 6 is comments from citizens on agenda items. This is the part of this evening's agenda that if you're here to speak on something that is on the agenda, now would be a good time to do so. If you happen to be here this evening because you wish to speak on another matter of city business that isn't on the agenda, we ask that you wait to the end of the council meeting. But if you wish to speak about something that's on the agenda, you may raise your hand and be recognized. Yes, sir. Good evening and welcome to the council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record.
Richard Wall, 329 Bounding Home Court, Havre, Grace.
Welcome, sir.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for your previous support of the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program. We have our application before the council tonight for approval for our 2021 season, and I'd just like to give you a little bit of update of where we're at in our planning process. With COVID protocols and all of that, we're putting one kid in a boat. So that limits the size of our camp this summer. This will be our 5th summer camp that we've held here in Havre de Grace. And so we have 151 students already signed up. 44 from Havre de Grace, 33 from Bel Air, 39 from other parts of the county, 20 from Edgewood. So our camp is about 3/4 full already. And we are ready and excited to do another summer camp sailing kids here on the Susquehanna. We've increased our boat fleet by 6 more boats since the last season that we sailed. We have some J24s, which are 5-man crew boats now that we hope to put some plans together to get the older kids on it, to doing some match racing out on the rivers on Wednesdays and Thursday nights. So the program is going great. Continued support from the city of Havre de Grace makes that possible, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comments. Any other member of the audience wish to speak on an agenda item? Okay. Any comments from council?
Good.
Okay, cool. Very well. And thank you for your comments again, Captain. Appreciate it. And we wish you all the best luck. I told you earlier, my son signed up for 2 weeks already, so he's very excited, and he dragged 2 of his friends into it, so that's how it works, right? Okay, we're going to go to appointments, item 7. This evening, we have no appointments. And we're going to go to item 8, recognitions. And this evening, we have a tremendous recognition. I want everybody to pay attention to this recognition that we're going to have here in the center of the well here. An amazing young man from Havre de Grace that took a big step to change the world. And we're going to call him and his family forward in a second. And he's got an opportunity to explain to everybody just what it is that he did to make our state even better, especially for kids. I'd also like to have called forward the state delegate who's in attendance tonight. She just walked in, Delegate Marion Lasani, who was a big supporter and proponent of this legislation called Connor's Courage. And if I could invite Connor and your family and Delegate Lasani forward. Right there for a second. I'll be right back. You want to join me?
You got Marion, that's good.
When I get done this, I'm not going to come back and just say proclamation's done and then do this, and I'll state that, okay?
You want to do that? I think so. Well, I'm vaccinated, so I'm good.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Patrick. Hi, Marion, how are you? Welcome, welcome, please. Ask the cameraman. Are we all on the camera here? Okay, cool, excellent. I'm going to hand this to you, sir. All right. I'm entrusting you with the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Connor. And this is Connor's family. This is Delegate Asani. I'm Bill Martin, Mayor of the City of Havre de Grace. Now that we have the formalities out of the way, this has been a story that I've been wanting to tell here in the chamber for over a year now. Now, I know a lot of people know about the story. You've been following the newspaper for about a year ago, but Connor's got a story to tell you. And right when all this was about to gel, COVID hit. We've always been wanting to bring him and his family here to be recognized for what he's doing. So there is a law that the state of Maryland passed unanimously called Connor's Courage. And Connor, can you please tell everybody about it?
Thank you. It's actually a huge honor to be here tonight. I've been looking forward to this for, nearly a year now. Wow.
You want to take mask off if it's better for you to speak?
I don't
It's up to you.
mind. Yeah, I'm going to.
Okay, sure. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. So for those of you unfamiliar with me, my name is Connor Sheffield. I am 16 years old. I'll be 17 in September. I am a junior at Havre de Grace High School. Love this town, by the way. It's such a beautiful part of Maryland, and I'm so happy to call this place my home. For those of you unfamiliar with my story, I've suffered with gastrointestinal dysmotility my entire life, which what that basically is a chronic condition which will progressively get worse. And to sum it up in the best way that I know how, pretty much my stomach just doesn't work like yours or my father's, to the point where it doesn't really work much at all. So for a majority of my life, I was living off of feeding tubes and NG tubes, and I actually still have an ileostomy. And to make this really, really lifelong story short and summarized, I was hospitalized for most of my life, pretty much lived there. I went through many, many major surgeries throughout my time, and I mean, I contribute the fact that I'm still standing here today to a very, very special medicine, which many people still don't believe in, unfortunately, but the fact that I'm even standing here right now, I can contribute it to, and that medicine is medical cannabis. I've tried every single medication approved, and even non-FDA approved, non-minor approved medications for my condition, which none worked, and some of them actually made my condition even worse. And this medicine that we all thought, I mean, even my parents thought, my dad, my mom, my grandparents, everybody, nobody had any faith in it. Nobody had any faith that this would work. And here I am, almost 4 years later, standing here, able to tell you guys this. And I've had some really, really close calls in my life, and I, like I've said many, many times, and I'll continue to say for the rest of my life, I am still here today because of medical cannabis. And Connor's Courage was a very, very important law to me because when I started improving and getting better, I wanted to be able to go to school. And we soon learned that that was a very, very difficult process. That process basically being that I can't take my medicine on school grounds. And I'm just asking to take this in the nurse's office at the time. So the process would be that my parents would have to come to the school from work, sign me out of the class, get me out of the school building entirely, off the property, administer my medication, and then go back in. Way too long a process to take my medication. And this medication, it's not like I'm smoking a joint. It's not like I'm eating an edible. I'm taking a little drop of oil under my tongue and swigging some water. Not enough to get somebody high. Not nearly enough to get somebody high. But it's enough to keep me and thousands of children, not only in this state, but in the entire country alive. And it's baffling to me that this wasn't a thing before. And I had to come along and make sure that this happened. And I always want everybody to know that I didn't do this law for myself. I did this for all the other children who couldn't get this done. I did this for all the other children who really, really needed this, because I know that I'm not the only one, and I know that I'm not the only one who's feeling this pain. And I mean, I love attending school. I mean, I'm a good student. I've got a lot of friends, and I'm able to go back to school now because of my medication and because of the fact that we've been able to get this law passed, and I can take my medication in school and attend a full school day without any interruption. So that's my story. That's it. But yeah, really, I greatly appreciate you having me here today, Mayor, and I'm really, really thankful to be standing here. I really am. I'm really thankful to be able to be standing here right now today. I am. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely, Connor. It's an amazing story. I'll never forget when I first met you and your mom and dad came into my office. Again, this was over a year ago. So you're telling me the story how, you know, your whole life you struggled with eating. You couldn't eat. And this drop of oil allowed you to live your life. I mean, simply from a plant. But again, you couldn't take it on school grounds because of the laws with marijuana. So it's just, and so at that time, the law wasn't passed yet. And I know that you approached our delegates in Annapolis to sponsor this bill. And so am I correct when I say it passed unanimously, correct?
Not quite, but almost
Okay.
there, almost. But yeah, we did get it passed by quite astounding numbers, actually.
Well, that's good, though. I mean, for anything to pass
Absolutely.
is pretty amazing down in Annapolis. So, but no, it's just a fascinating thing to be able to make that kind of change. And you know, I'm not in Annapolis like Delegate Asani is, but I mean, from a municipal standpoint, getting anything done in Annapolis takes a lot of. Sometimes it can take a couple of years. I mean, we just try to get a trolley on the road, a low-speed trolley that's all electric, because some antiquated code that couldn't be more than 3,000 pound GVW, and it took us 4 years. So I mean, the fact that we did it, and it's going to be this year. But the fact that you were able to take this and the topic, which is, I mean, some people could consider controversial, marijuana, medical marijuana, but you got it passed. I mean, that is. We're all in awe of this, of the work you did, your mother and father, the networking, the work of the delegates. And I talked to a lot of people. I mean, before COVID really slammed us down, we couldn't talk to anybody anymore. But I talked to a lot of people about what you did, and even people who didn't really have an opinion one way or the other about medical marijuana because maybe fortunately for them they never had to take it. Really, you made a believer out of a lot of people that the uses of that plant for different purposes. So you made a believer out of me. And a supporter of it, 100%. So like I said, you are living evidence of change. And what makes me really proud is that you live in Havre de Grace. And it's like, I use you as an example all the time about how great people from Havre de Grace are. We can make a difference, we can make a change. Don't ever underestimate us no matter how old we are. And so, like I said, I'm really, really, really happy that we were able to bring you back to the meeting once we started having open meetings again and really tell your story. Mom, Dad, is there anything you want to add?
I just want to thank the delegate because she actually heard us talking about like what our situation was, and she came to us. I didn't even know who she was, and she's like, "I can help you," and I'm like, "There's no way you can help us because everybody else told us no. You're talking about cannabis. Nobody wants to talk to you." But it was medicine to us, and my son needed it to live. So I just want to thank her because she dedicated her entire session last year, I think, to helping us, and we appreciate it.
Sure. Delegate Asani, would you mind telling us the process that it took in Annapolis and barriers, obstacles, or support that you faced?
Well, Connor's story is one of family. It's also one of community, and it's one of it's a story that no parent should ever have to deal with. A sick child is any parent's worst nightmare, really. And when I first met the Sheffields, I didn't know them at all, and they told me their story. And it's a very complicated. As easy as Connor makes it sound, changing legislation about a substance that is federally still illegal is very, very difficult. Although we have a medical cannabis law in Maryland, but it does not apply to minors. And it does not apply to the school system. And quite frankly, the school system, the State Board of Education, frowned upon bringing any type of experimental medication into the school system. So I am the author of the bill. I tried to come up with something that made sense. And to me, what made sense was writing a law that didn't prescribe to people what they needed to do. It said where we wanted to get to. And where we wanted to get to is having an ability for a person like Connor, who the state has already said, you are eligible for a medical cannabis license. He already has one of them, so we've issued that. But what we didn't do is figure out how to allow him to have that during school hours. So what the bill basically said was that all of the parties meaning the health department, the regulatory agencies, the school system, everybody would come together and write the policy that was safe, effective, and would protect our children and allow parents to do what the Sheffields wanted them to do. It was extremely controversial because there's a lot of people that don't believe in the science. But I will tell you, the Sheffields are very special people. Connor is an instant lobbyist. I would say a politician, but there's no money in being a politician. Be a lobbyist, my dear. Trust me. And his family, I mean, they've done a lot with social media. They've done a lot. We did a lot of very early on getting people educated. And they just told their story, and people started to listen. The other thing that's very unique about this situation is not only their family, but their extended family that really believed in Connor and believed in this was this city council. That was a big step for a legislative body to take the action that you did. And don't underestimate how powerful that was for your city to pass a resolution that when we had the hearing, we had there with us. And that's what I say, it's about community. There was a lot of people from this community who stood up, who said, you know what, I don't know that if this is the right thing for a child or not, but I see Connor and I believe in this. And you know what, if it was my child, I would move heaven and earth to help my child. And in Havre Grace, that's one thing that we're very, very different. And the more I travel around the state and I see it, there's not just their children, they're our children, and we embrace everybody's children that way. So, and like every good thing in Annapolis, once it's a good idea, once it gets sold, it's everybody's idea. and everybody takes credit for it, and that's great. That's the more the merrier, but it was a wonderful experience to go through this. We had a lot of times where they camped out in my office and had a checklist of legislators to go see so that we could think. But I have one thing to tell you that I don't think you know. Just received an email about 2 weeks ago from the head of the State Medical Marijuana Commission, and he said, Delegate, I just want you to know something. Connor's Courage, the bill that we all worked together, and they worked with us too. So to say that there was one person, there was a whole lot of people that worked really hard, on this idea. It is now that policy is complete, it has been adopted by the State Board of Education, and it is the foremost policy among state boards of education in the country. So it will be the role model for other students. I'll shoot that email over to you because that's kind of those quiet little victories that nobody gets to see, but that's when you know you've done a good thing. So please keep doing it.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life, really.
Thank you, Delegate Asani. Thanks for the background, all that, in the words. Any final thoughts before I read this proclamation to the record?
Yeah, I mean, it actually kind of skipped my mind entirely how stressful it was to be down there. Actually, I remember when she says camping out in her office, I mean, she can quite literally mean that because I had to take several naps in there between going to speak to lawmakers. That was the most memorable time of my entire life, really. I'm so grateful for everything I did down there, and I'm so happy that I went down there physically and we were able to get all that done. I mean, this wasn't only me. This wasn't one person. This wasn't two. This was a group effort. I mean, my name's attached to this law, but it's not all me, and it's not all about me. So that's one of the most important things to remember about this. It's not me, and it's not about me. It's about all the other children who need it. And there were so many people involved in all of this, and I really extend all of my gratitude, and I'm so thankful for everybody who has played any kind of role or part in it, really. But it's really an honor to be here.
Well done, sir. Well done. I'll take that. I think Council President has a comment to make.
Well, the one thing I'll say about Connor, when he's not down in Annapolis convincing legislators to pass a very important law, Connor, tell them what else you do in your spare time.
I'm a Wegner sprint race car driver. So I travel in the country.
Yeah.
We're proud of you, buddy.
You'll be driving the car soon, won't you?
Actually, I'm working to get my personal license.
Great, maybe I'll run into you. This young man can drive, trust me. He can drive just fine. I want to read this into the record, Connor. City of Havre de Grace, Maryland, recognition. Connor Sheffield, whereas Connor Sheffield is currently a 16-year-old student at Havre de Grace High School. Whereas Connor continued to live a full life and rewarding life to include the countless trophies he continues to stack up as a 600 micro sprint and NASCAR late model race car driver. Despite the challenges he has had to overcome associated with the hardship he faces daily with a very rare disease called gastrointestinal dysmotility, and whereas Connor never hesitates to put the needs of others ahead of his own, evidenced by the fact that he raised awareness and worked hard at championing the bill called Connor's Courage, which was passed almost unanimously, and will allow other students like Connor to have access to medical marijuana on school grounds and have it dispensed by the school nursing staff just like other over-the-counter drugs. Whereas this will allow over 180 registered pediatric cannabis patients in Maryland a chance of enhancing and improving their quality of life and living their life of a normal teenager. Now I, therefore, William T. Martin, Mayor of the City of Havre de Grace, along with a member of Havre de Grace City Councils, we hereby recognize Connor Sheffield for his tireless commitment and selfless service in helping others, and more importantly, for doing the right thing, for all the right reasons. Connor, for making a difference.
Amen.
This is yours, sir. Signed by myself and the members of the council. Absolutely. Very proud of you, Connor. Very proud of you. Official photograph? All right, go ahead. Oh, there you go. Oh, sorry about that. Do you have another cover, Patrick? Sorry about that. I think I did that. I must have did that. We'll replace it for you, Lee. All right, ready? I'm smiling.
Yep, smiling too.
Thank you. Excellent. Hang tight, we'll get you a new one. Thank you.
Great job, Connor.
Thank you. Delegate Asani, thanks for being here. Really appreciate all you do for us. All right, we'll hook you up with a new cover, Connor. Council President.
Okay, moving on to the next item on the agenda is proclamations. We have none. Item number 10, presentations. We have the Annual Historic Preservation Commission Awards. Councilmember Zinner and Kathy Keene. Meet the mayor up front.
If you want, you can come up here and you can use this microphone if you want, or did you need to use the stand? It's up to you.
I think it'd be easier for me to start out
Yep,
here.
you got it. Go ahead.
Thank you. Kathy Keene, 205A Seneca Way, Havre de Grace. And hello, Mayor Martin, council members, staff, citizens. I'm speaking tonight as the vice chair of the Havre de Grace Historic Preservation Commission. May is Historic Preservation Month. And every year, the Havre de Grace HPC awards 3 buildings that have been preserved and maintained in near original condition. I'm here tonight to tell you about this year's winners and to present an award to our property owners. They'll get a beautiful bronze plaque, which you see up front here, with the name of the property and the date on it, the date that it was built. And they will be displaying these. We ask the award winners to display them in a visible sign for passersby. It just kind of advertises the house and the age of the house. They'll also get, I haven't even told them yet, but I also put up a temporary sign that says Havre de Grace Historic Preservation Commission Award, and that kind of designates them as an award winner, because that sign doesn't really do that. And that sign is a temporary sign, stays up for 6 months. So the first slide I have up here, before we get to the eye candy, which is the beautiful old buildings that I love to look at, to be considered for a Historic Preservation Award, and these are 2 members of the commission, Roger Lee and Kathleen Lee, sorry. But to be considered for an award, the house, it has to be 50 years old, it doesn't have to be a home, it can be any building, structure, a barn or an outbuilding, it could be anything. commercial property or residential. Has to be at least 50 years old, in good condition, and attractive and well-maintained. The original exterior cladding should be evident, not covered up with vinyl siding. Original windows and doors are preferred. Replacements may be acceptable if they match the original in the design. Storm windows are acceptable and actually desirable to protect the original wood windows. If there's a storm or screen door, it should be compatible with the front door and the porch elements. Original distinctive features such as porch posts, railings, balusters, brackets, trim, etc., should be evident, not removed or covered up. Shutters, if present, should be sized correctly to cover the window, if closed, and be attached to the window casing. Fences visible from the facade should be of design compatible with the historic character of the building. So these criteria are adapted from the National Park Service standards for rehabilitation of historic properties. So let's go to the first house that we're going to award tonight, and this is the A.P. McCombs house, built in 1880. It's at 120 South Union Avenue, and our owner, Perry Stewart, is here tonight. This Victorian frame house with Gothic details was built for A.P. McCombs, who was a successful businessman and an important person in Havre de Grace. He owned the Havre de Grace Iron Works and the local newspaper, the Havre Republican. He was also president of the First National Bank on St. John Street. That's the site of Le Banque de Fleu, right now, the big granite building. This home, known locally as the Pink House, originally it had a large front porch across the front, the whole front. But that was a very long time ago. Even old pictures don't show that. But there was originally, when it was built, a large veranda across the front. Notice the unusual gambrel and gable roof line. You can, if you know, you can see that's kind of unusual for houses to have that. The house is described in the Maryland Historic Trust's inventory of historic properties as, quote, one of the most substantial yet picturesque frame dwellings in Havre de Grace. Picturesque is a word for that house, I think. Its original wood windows, trim boards, clapboard siding have been well maintained and are still in service after 140 years. Now get that, a window that's 140 years old. You know, what replacement windows last, what, 20 years? So you can keep repairing your old wood windows, and nothing looks as good, and it's definitely worthwhile. Okay, the second house is the Apt House. This one was built in 1904. It's at 706 Market Street. And the owners are Alicia and Kirk Meyer, who could not be here today. Matthew Apt, who lived in New York, bought the lot for this house from Harry Moore of the Moore family homestead next door. Matthew Apt died soon after the house was built. He and his wife never lived there. His widow sold the house in 1917, and it has had many different owners since. This is a typical folk Victorian home, or vernacular Victorian. This type of home, there are many of them that were built in Havre de Grace for regular working class people around the turn of the century. It has 3 bays, those are the 3 second floor windows, and a front-facing gable. We see houses like this with side-facing gables too. This particular one has a front-facing gable. The house has its original wood clapboard siding and cedar fish scale shingles in the gables. A later addition doesn't really show up in this picture, but a later addition was added to the rear. The addition is secondary to the original structure, as it should be, but it's compatible to it in mass and design. And our last house is the Paulie Hirsch house. Oh, no, not that one. There we go. No, this is the Paulie Hirsch house. It doesn't say that on the top. It still says 706 Market Street. But in case he doesn't get it fixed, thank you, Patrick. This house that you're looking at is the Paulie Hirsch house, built in 1969. It's at 605 Giles Street, and the owners are Greta Jensen and Will Kwan, and Greta's here to accept her award. Paulie Hirsch, a registered architect and Havre Grace resident, designed and built this mid-century modern home for her family. A deceiving 5,000 square feet, it included an office for her business and space for her husband, Dr. Gunther Hirsch's medical practice. Female architects were unusual in Paulie's day, and she had difficulty getting contracts to build other people's houses. So she started her own design and build firm and set about designing and constructing office buildings, rental units, and homes for family members. These modern buildings can be seen today scattered throughout Havre Grace. Paulie was the first female registered architect to join the Baltimore chapter of the American Architectural Institute. The new owners of Paulie's house bought it from the Hirsch family. Being fans of mid-century modern design, they appreciate the fact that this home has been maintained in near original condition inside and out. Those are all the awards, my 3 awards for 2021. But before I close, I just want to mention our 2020 awards. Because of COVID, we couldn't have a ceremony for them. We couldn't, they did get their plaques, so I just want to I have a picture of each one and a brief little description. So could you find the Blenheim Mansion? So look at this beauty. The Blenheim Mansion, 1890. On 1350 Blenheim Farm Road in Bully Rock, owned by Cindy and Jason Rodriguez. This beautiful Victorian frame dwelling with East Lake ornamentation was the original main house of Blenheim, a 500-acre farm owned by Henry Amos Osborne. Havre Gracians, we're all proud of the fact that the Blenheim Mansion was used as a site for the movie Tuck Everlasting. That's just one side of it. Every side of it's beautiful. And this is a young couple who bought this house in really bad condition and have meticulously restored it. Next house. This is the Kelly House. This is on 557 Congress Avenue and built in 1910. The owners were Val and Mike Kelly. Described as a 4-square Americana home. It's constructed of sculpted cement blocks, which architect James Woolen noted are unusual for their small size. And inside the house has curved plaster walls. That house. And lastly, and these are our 2020 awards. The Lighthizer House. This is on 616 South Washington Street, and it's built in 1928. Owners were James and Patricia Picard. This is a federal-style home, originally owned by Eldon Lighthizer, whose father started Lighthizer Menswear on Franklin Street. At the time, Lighthizer's was Harford County's largest apparel store for men. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, excellent. Thank you so much, Kathy. I guess now we would like to call up the owners of the properties who are here this evening and present them their awards and let them say a couple words. So,
Perry and Greta.
Perry and Greta. And
Should we all
you all,
come up front?
absolutely, all join us, absolutely. And, oh, good, Carolyn. I was going to ask Carolyn to come down. Carolyn's the liaison to the Historic Preservation Commission. Well, welcome, everybody. I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. Hold this one second, Stuart. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll put this over here. And you said the Abt House is not here this evening, correct?
They're not here.
Okay, and I'll, it's over here. I guess Greta, if you want to stand kind of over here, we'll put Perry here. Just want to make sure the camera picks everybody up, because,
Smile.
just stand right here. You're fine. You're fine. So you hold on. I got this. You can hold on to it. So I'm going to ask each of you just to give the quick background of, like, you know, what it was about the house that attracted you to it, and what it's like to what have you done to the house, what it's like to keep up a house of such, you know, great importance. I mean, you're both. No, well, I do want to say, I know you put a new roof on your house, and I think I saw Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay up there climbing Mount Everest, because that roof is so steep. I don't know who you got to put roof shingles in there, but that's a pretty steep roof. But the house looks beautiful. I know you put some money into it lately. So,
Last year.
so again, give us the background on you know, when you got the house and what you've done to the house.
Well, just real quick, I bought it in 2009 thinking I was going to run a bed and breakfast. The housing market collapsed. I couldn't get any loans. I had it halfway gutted. Wasn't sure what the hell to do with it next. And slowly just used the last of my inheritance to put the inside back together. Last year, COVID has been amazing to me. Finally got loans, both from the SBA and from Hartford Bank, and fixed the outside. Tore roofs off. Thank God I wasn't on the garden tour last year because it looked like elephants ran through the yard. But just fixed the whole outside. Still have more to do, but yeah, it's been a fun trip.
Well, it's definitely a landmark in the city of Havre, because sometimes I'll try to give people directions to the park or something. They're like, is that before the pink house or after the pink house when you're in Havre? So it's almost, it's a landmark. It's a threshold you have to meet, you know, when you get to Havre. So it's a beautiful house, and a house that you know, I've had the good fortune of seeing the inside of a few times, and it's a very beautiful home. And again, it's, you know, people could come to Havre Grace and let things deteriorate, but as you said, you sacrificed and put everything you had into it to keep it the way it is. And
I still do it constantly.
absolutely. So again, we're here this evening to thank you for all you're doing, and to give you a beautiful plaque, and hope you can find a great place for it on your home.
Yes,
So thank you, Ms. Stewart.
excellent.
Greta?
Kern?
Thank you. Will couldn't be here tonight, and we are just super excited to receive this award and to be stewards to this house, because like mid-century modern is like the new thing. So we have put geothermal in. That was a big expense and much needed, because our 1969 heating system was just, and we've been doing outdoor stuff, and we're refinishing, but keeping it original as possible. So we just love it.
It looks fantastic.
Thank you.
I mean, it really does look like a time machine almost to 1969. Most people don't keep things looking like 1969, so it's like it's really a beautiful home. I mean, it's just, we're lucky to have it there, and all you and Will have done to keep it the way it is.
Thank you. We kind of definitely live in 1969.
That's awesome.
Everything.
That is fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Greta, and please tell Will we said hi, and congratulations on your award from the Historic Preservation Commission. We hope you find a cool place for your plaque.
I already have a spot picked out.
Awesome.
And we'll be on the garden tour as well.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Greta. Councilmember Zinner is the liaison. Would you like to say anything?
Sure. I just want to congratulate you both for the beautiful job that you've done on your house. I lived in Pennsylvania, and I had a property that was built in 1865, and it was a double twin federal. I had 3 apartments on one side and our private home on the other side, and I still miss that property. Having an older home is just really special, and I just really want to thank you both, and I'm sorry the Myers are not here this evening, to thank them for preserving the history and the property. And also last year we missed the opportunity to honor the 3 winners from last year, and they've done a magnificent job as well. So thank you again, and congratulations on your awards, and show your plaques proudly. You deserve it, and I just want to remind everybody this is Historic Preservation Month, the month of May, and good luck continuing to improve and make your home more of what you want it to be. for the time period, which is quite different for both of you. So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you, council members. And any final words from the Historic Preservation Commission members?
No, I don't think I have anything more to say.
Well, I just want to say real quick, again, I like to say this every year in May when we come together for this award. Thanks, Councilmember. How important the role of the Historic Preservation Commission is. I mean, a lot of people don't really know all that they do. They meet monthly, and they do multiple things. They promote the Lafayette Trail that runs throughout our city. A lot of tourists come to our city and go through the guided tour and with the little placards on the sidewalk. They have the numbers that tells you historic stories about the house. One of the things Historic Preservation does also is if anybody comes into the city of Havre de Grace and buys an older home and wants to know the history about the home, maybe some advice on how to restore it, this is a resource. The Historic Preservation Commission is a resource for people doing such that. So again, I want to thank you for your work. I want to thank you for being here this evening. It's an amazing group of people on a great commission, and I thank you for all your work. But before we leave, I do want to take a picture. But also, people who win this award, we have something else to put on your home. Everybody gets a Havre de Grace flag to fly in front of your house. Well, not a problem. We hope you find a cool place for it. If it ever gets tattered or worn, just let us know and we'll give you another one. So I can give you one to give to the Apt House later. Correct. Absolutely. And so with that said, maybe we can pick these up for the picture. I can hold it like this. Greta, I think you can probably pick these up. We can probably move together a little bit. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. You got it? Everything good? Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. Wonderful. I will. Thank you. Oh, Kathy? I'm sorry. That's where, thank you so much. Absolutely. Thanks, Greta. Thank you. All right, we'll see you. All right, done. Okay, we're going to move on to item number 11. This evening, item number 11 is resolutions. And this evening, we have no resolutions on the agenda. We'll go to item 12. Item 12 is ordinances, and this evening, we do have 3 ordinances. We have 1 second reading and 2 first reading ordinances. So the first ordinance deals with stormwater management. And I'm going to hand that off to Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I make a motion to introduce Ordinance 1050 concerning amendment of Chapter 169, Stormwater Management, for second reading and adoption.
Second.
Council have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce Ordinance 1050 on second reading. Questions or comments on the introduction of the ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce Ordinance 1050 on second reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This is an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Havre de Grace, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of Maryland Constitution, the Local Government and Environmental Articles of the Annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter, for the purpose of amending City Code Chapter 169, Stormwater Management. Council, to have a motion to adopt Ordinance 1050 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Ringsager, seconded by Councilmember Martin. Question or comments on the ordinance? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you. This amendment addresses stormwater management and impervious surfaces, primarily in developments that have long passed their anticipated completion dates and are planning development of new parcels. By approving this amendment, these parcels will need to meet the most current state and local requirements for stormwater management and impervious surfaces.
Thank you very much for your comments, Councilmember Zinner. Any other further questions or comments? Okay, council, this is a ordinance, so I'm going to do a roll call on the vote. This is a roll call vote on ordinance 1050 for second reading. Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, City Council Ordinance 1050 concerning an amendment of Chapter 169 Stormwater Management is adopted on second reading. We're going to go to item B, ordinance concerning the fiscal year 2022 tax rates. And I will hand this off to Councilmember Robertson, the Chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce for first reading an ordinance concerning the FY 2022 tax rates.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Zinner. Motion by Councilmember Robertson, second by Councilmember Zinner. This is a motion to introduce on first reading an ordinance concerning the 2022 tax rate. Questions or comments on the introduction of this ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance concerning the 2022 tax rate on first reading carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This is going to be ordinance number 1052. This is going to be titled Ordinance 1052, an ordinance by the mayor and the city council of Havre de Grace pursuant to the authority provided by the annotated code of Maryland Tax Property Article Title 6 and the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, fixing the tax rate for the fiscal year July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022 on each $100 of assessable real property, personal property, and providing an additional special tax levied within the critical area special taxing district and setting the service charge for the semi-annual property tax option. Council, I have a motion to adopt on first reading.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Seconded by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments on the tax rate ordinance? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just for the ladies and gentlemen at home and here in the audience, the tax rates will remain stagnant from last year to this year. Thank you very much to everyone that's improving those beautiful old homes because the values overall have expanded tremendously here in Havre de Grace, as well as all the folks that are moving in up the hill. So values are looking good. We're able to do a lot more with a lot less of your money. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments from the council? Okay. Thank you for reiterating that the tax rate will stay the same as last year. Thank you. Without any further questions or comments from the council, I'm going to do a roll call vote on the first reading and adoption of this ordinance. This is Ordinance 1052, tax rate. Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
By a roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1052 that establishes the city tax rate for fiscal year 2022 is adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have the public hearing on this ordinance?
I think the plan is to have the public hearing on May 10th at 6 PM.
Okay. I guess proceeding to the next council meeting, correct? All right.
No, it's before,
Wait a minute.
it's a week before the next council meeting.
I'm sorry, when do you want to have it?
Next Monday.
Next Monday, okay. Sorry, somebody scratched it. I scratched it May 17th by accident, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about that, you're correct. Next Monday is, what's the date?
May 10th.
May 10th, okay. I'm all backwards here. I scratched in all these dates and, hold on, that's wrong, okay. May 10th. I just live 1 week at a time, Council President.
Okay. We make a good team.
Yeah. It would be nice to have the tax rate established before we vote on the ordinance, or the budget, don't you think? Okay. That would make sense. I see what you're doing. All right. Public hearing on the ordinance 1052, establishing the tax rate, will be next Monday, May 10th, here at the council chamber. 6 o'clock?
Yes.
So the way this works, just like every other ordinance, we have a first reading, we have a public hearing, then we will have a second reading and adoption. The second reading will be scheduled for May 17th at the next council meeting. So if anybody wishes to look at the budget, and if you have anything to say about the tax rate, there's an opportunity at the public hearing next Monday here at 6 o'clock, or you can speak again at the next council meeting, which will be at May 17th at 7 o'clock. Okay, thank you, council. Okay, item number C, an ordinance concerning fiscal year 2022, the water and sewer rates. Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce an ordinance concerning the FY 2022 water and sewer rates.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. I have a second. Second. Seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is an ordinance concerning the water and sewer rates for fiscal year 2022. Questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance concerning the fiscal year 2022 water and sewer rates is introduced 6-0 in the affirmative. Council, this is going to be ordinance 1053. This is going to be ordinance 1053. An ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace adopted pursuant to the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland and the city charters, sections 33 and 34, and city code chapter 196 and exhibit A thereto, establishing the city water and sewer rates and service participation fees for the users of the city water and sewer system. Council, to have a motion to adopt this ordinance on first reading.
So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Robertson. Second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments before the roll call? Councilmember Robertson.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I also would like to reiterate the water and sewer rates will be remaining stagnant for the second year in a row, so no increase over last year.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Here comes a roll call vote on ordinance 1053 concerning the water and sewer rate for fiscal year 2022. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President Glenn.
Yes.
Councilmember Ringsager.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative.
Forget Zinner.
Sorry, I forgot Carolyn. Oh, okay, I did. Carolyn, how
Yes.
say ye?
Yes, that was.
Yes? Okay. Man,
Good night.
must have skipped my vitamins this morning. I never make that mistake. Okay, by roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, ordinance 1053 is adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have a public hearing?
We'll do a public hearing on May 10th also at, 6 PM following the first one, so.
Okay, May 10th, following, at 6 PM, following the ordinance on the tax rate. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much, council. Okay, that'll conclude the ordinances we are reading into the record this evening. Item 13, old business. We have no old business on the agenda for this evening. Item 14, new business. We have a few budget amendments, and we have some special events. And so we're going to go back to the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. That'd be Councilman Robertson. And if you could start us off with item A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to approve Budget Amendment 2021-13.
Council, I have a motion by Councilman Robertson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Martin. This is a budget amendment on Budget 2021. This is going to be Budget Amendment 2021-13, water main replacement on Route 40. Questions or comments on the budget amendment? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, this is basically using a portion of the bond proceeds which folks in Havre de Grace approved last year or the year before to complete the line from Havre de Grace to Aberdeen. So this is just assigning the dollars to that specific purpose. There is some anticipated savings from the project as a whole. So that's good news.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Martin.
This is very important first phase as the contract is being able to be awarded, but the construction, pending the ability to purchase the material, should begin in May or June, which will allow for the development of one of the future parcels that we have on Route 40. So hopefully by fiscal year 23, the end, we should be selling water to Aberdeen in small amounts, but also into the new development down on Route 40.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would just like to remind everyone that we promised transparency when we went out and we basically did a roadshow asking for your support last year for the bond bill. And I just want to remind everyone that the Department of Public Works has done an awesome job in creating 3 storybooks, actually, using Google Maps. And you can go on the city website under Department of Public Works, and there is a separate story for paving, one for capital projects, and one for shoreline project. And in each section, you will see how much money is being allocated towards any given project. You'll also see whether it's from the bond bill or whether it's from a grant, and what the progress is. So I would encourage everyone who is interested in knowing where the money's coming from and where the money's going and a timeline to refer back to that section on the city website as frequently as you care to do, because the DPW department is updating it regularly with awarded contracts, MOUs, and money spent, and where it's coming from. So that is something that we promised last year and something that I believe we're delivering on.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments from council? Okay, we're going to do a voice vote on this, and then afterwards, Councilmember Robertson can read the numbers into the record of transfer numbers. Budget Amendment 2021-13, water main replacement on Route 40. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hey.
All opposed say nay. By voice call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, the Budget Amendment 2021-13 is approved. Councilmember Robertson, can you confirm the account number transfers?
Sure. In the from column, account number 09-0001-49-27, DHCD bond proceeds, $1,990,000. In the to column, account number 09-1232-9051, water main replacement, Route 40, $1,990,000.
I get a thumbs up from my finance director? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Everything square? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Horty. Councilmember Robertson, thank you very much for your reading those into the record for us.
Sure.
So, item number B, Budget Amendment 2021-14, Marina Office Rehab, Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to introduce or to adopt Budget Amendment 2021-14, Marina Office Rehab.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Ringsacker. This is a motion to amend the budget, 2021-14, for a Marina Office Rehab. Question or comments before the vote? Councilmember Robertson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So for the folks watching at home, this is using funding from the Marina Fund to address some needs of one of the offices down there. So the proposal includes demolition and construction of a wood outdoor deck and ADA ramp. So this is one of many projects that you'll be seeing down at the marina over the next year. I know that there's some things in the FY22 budget proposal, and I assume that we'll probably be seeing some items flow into 2024 or 2023 as well, excuse me. So appreciate council's support.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any further questions or comments? Okay. This is Budget Amendment 2021-14. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Budget Amendment 2021-14 concerning the rehabilitation of the Marina Office carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Robertson, could you give us the account transfer numbers, please?
Absolutely. I do want to make note that on your final page on the accounting, it says Marina Fund 9 as both the origination and the transfer. It should read Marina Fund 8. You know, the account numbers are correct because it's a 08, but just make that note there.
Thank you very much.
All right, so in the from column, account number 08-1809-49-02, beginning fund balance $45,500. In the to column, account number 08-1839-6501, capital expenditures, Marina Office Rehab, $45,500.
Excellent. Mr. Doherty, everything square? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Robertson, thank you, sir.
Cool.
And Councilmember Robertson, I'm going to call you once again for the last budget amendment of the evening, Budget Amendment 2021-15.
All right, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, I move to adopt Budget Amendment 2021-15, stormwater remediation on Gerard Street.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. Do I have a second? Second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments on the Budget Amendment 2021-15? Councilmember Robertson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen here and at home, this is essentially grant funding that originated from, God, what do they call that program? The old RAD loan, thank you. It escapes me. But the old RAD loan, the funding got revolved into a grant program that we're able to use for some of our MS4 projects here in the city. So this amendment is just moving some of the proceeds from the grant funding into a usable item for stormwater remediation on Gerard Street.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Robertson. Any other questions or comments from the council? Budget Amendment 2021-15. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Budget Amendment 2021-15 concerning stormwater remediation on Gerard Street is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Robertson, the account number, sir.
Sir. In the from column, account number 01-0001-48-97, CDBG grant, $41,000. In the to column, 01-1251-7073, stormwater remediation, Gerard Street, $41,000.
Mr. Hardy, we square? Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much.
Better be.
Thank you very much, Councilman Robertson, for your efforts. Okay, that does it for the budget amendments, and now we have a special event on the docket, and Havre Grace Youth Sailing Camp. That's going to be Mr. Seibold.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Tonight we have the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program Summer Camp. The school was sponsored by the Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program. This is a multi-week event, approximately 2 months long, beginning June 19th and ending on August 14th. The school would operate from the Community Pavilion at the Frank J. Hutchins Memorial Park. The camp operates daily from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. There are a few weekends, too, I think, when they first kick off and what have you, and we have that schedule. The anticipated attendance right now is 160 students. Their staff is trained in Red Cross lifeguarding, first aid, CPR, and AED device use. The COVID plan was submitted and approved. The public work expenses for these, the schools, for the 2 months is $2,626.50 to maintain the bathroom facilities and the trash receptacles. There are no expenses for PD.
Thank you very much, Mr. Seibold. Council, I have a motion to approve the youth sailing camp.
So moved.
Motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilman Robertson. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The Havre Grace Youth Sailing Program Summer Camp is approved for the 2021 summer. 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Havre Grace.
Thank you,
Thank
Captain.
you.
So what is our racing team's name going to be? Are we going to have a team name for the racing?
The boats have names, though.
Thank you. We're going to go to item 15, which is Director's Reports, and we're going to start off with our Director of Administration, Mr. Patrick Seibold.
Thanks again, Mayor. Good evening, Council, and good evening, citizens. First, I want to talk about an event that happened over the weekend, not the Defenders Day. I think someone else will cover that. But the Farmers Market, they kicked off their season this past Saturday at Hutchins Park. This was their opening day and was the best ever, with more than 1,000 visitors. The market typically begins at 8:30 a.m. and runs till noon. It's open every Saturday from May until mid-December and features locally grown produce, baked goods, meats, soaps, beer, wine, spirits, and handcrafted items. And you almost needed to pack a lunch to wait in line for bread at the farmer's market. It was crazy. Tomorrow, since this is streaming live, I wanted to remind everyone we have an election right here in this room beginning at 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. We have a mayor that's running for office and 3 council positions that will be open. Again, the election polls open at 7 a.m. and continues through 8 p.m. On Friday, May 7th, the long-awaited return of First Fridays is back in Havre Grace. Enjoy a family-friendly festive celebration on closed-down streets. There will be live bands, cafe seating, and many restaurants, food trucks, merchandise vendors, store specials, a classic car show, and much, much more. Hope to see you out next Friday. Also on Friday, May 7th, and continuing through Sunday, May 9th, the Pride of Baltimore 2 is visiting Havre Grace. Their last visit was during our War of 1812 commemoration 8 years ago, if you can believe that. Wow. They will be docked at Hutchins Park and will be having demonstrations and educational lectures. Rumor has it that they will be open for tours depending on COVID restrictions, which seem to be lightening up a little bit. So this is a great opportunity to get up close to a tall ship and get a taste of old maritime traditions. On Saturday, May 8th, join the Havre Grace High School Music Boosters 5K run, which begins and ends at Tidings Park. Bring a comfortable pair of shoes and run for the kids. The proceeds from this event will benefit Havre de Grace High School Music Department programs. Pre-registration and check-in is from 7 a.m. till 7:30 a.m., and the race begins at 8. Also on Saturday, there will be a guided trail walk on the North Park Loop Trail, also known as Joe K Trail. It's an easy walk of 1.5 miles in 90 minutes. The hike is open to all ages. Please wear comfortable shoes and meet at the parking lot of the Susquehanna Museum at the Lock House, located at 817 Canestio Street in Havre de Grace. The tour begins promptly at 10 a.m., rain or shine. On Monday, May 10th, there will be a public hearing on Ordinance 1052, an ordinance fixing the tax rate for the fiscal year, which you heard earlier tonight, for the fiscal year July 1, 2021 to June 30, 2022. And on Ordinance 1053, which is an ordinance establishing the city water and sewer rates for the upcoming fiscal year. These hearings will begin at 6 p.m. right here in the City Council chambers. And just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Thursday Night Live continues with a May 13th performance featuring Relive the Beatles. Relive the Beatles is a live, on-stage tribute to the music that changed the world. They will be performing at the State Theater of Havre de Grace. This show has sold out in the past and looks to be just as entertaining as ever. The show starts at 8 p.m. I also wanted then to note a correction on a previous special event about the Sergeant Alfred B. Hilton groundbreaking. Originally, we had noted that it would be, on May the 14th down at Tidings Park, but instead it's been moved to the David Craig Park. So unless council has any objection, that's pretty much just a friendly amendment to an approved special event, that we're going to relocate it to David Craig Park instead of Tidings Park, and that's at 1 o'clock. And I see a question from Councilmember Robertson.
The monument itself is going to Tidings, though, right?
No, sir. I believe they have now relocated it to the David Craig Park.
Okay.
The overlook.
We had some utility issues where they wanted to place it, and it was cost prohibitive to, and also the monument would have had to been changed in size and scale. So I think what I had heard, that they elected to keep the monument of the same size, and in lieu of that, and also move it to David Craig Park. Chief of Staff could comment further if I'm missing anything or misrepresented. Am I good?
Yeah, if I can just say a couple words real quick. The monument is so big and so heavy, especially the concrete base they would have to pour to hold it. And then when they found out there are utilities in that area of Tidings Park, that would cost a lot of money to remove those utilities. David Craig Park Overlook was considered, and actually the overlook is actually on the foundation of the original bridge. So nothing in the world is going to make that foundation move. So, and they actually reached out to us and decided to put the Hilton Memorial there. That was their decision. And I think they like that. It's facing the water. It's near the American Legion. So you can see it coming into town. So. Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Just giving you the reason. I mean, it's actually going to be a safe spot for it, because that, you don't have to worry about a foundation, because that foundation there is nothing but granite rock that was supporting a bridge back in World War II. So thank you. I'm sorry. Continue, please.
No, fine. Starting on Sunday, May 16th, and continuing every Sunday through September, the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps is hosting Food Truck Sundays at the Ambulance Corps Pavilion right off Route 155. They'll be featuring between 5 to 7 food trucks each week, and that's a rain or shine event also. And if you missed any of the information I just spoke of, and for a complete calendar of events for our city, and it's really hopping, ladies and gentlemen, please visit our websites at havredegrace.com, explorehavredegrace.com, and hdgoperahouse.org. Havre de Grace, it's where it's happening. This concludes my remarks for this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Seipold. We're going to jump to our planning department. We're going to call forward Mr. Shane Grimm, Director of the Havre de Grace Planning. Good evening, Mr. Grimm.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members and citizens. Just wanted to let you know that this Thursday, the Board of Appeals will be meeting to review a conditional use, and that is for a property on Vandiver Court. And that project is to subdivide an existing single-family dwelling to a duplex dwelling. It actually was a duplex many years ago. It was converted to a single, and the new owner would like to convert it back to a duplex. So we'll be reviewing that this Thursday at 6:30 p.m. in these council chambers. So we're happy to be back in council chambers with the board, doing our thing. Same with the Planning Commission. And also, I just wanted to remind our citizens that spring is a good time to take a look at the outside of their homes and their properties and make sure that they're cutting their grass in a timely manner and cleaning up any debris and junk and things like that. The town is looking very good. Earl Swigert, our code enforcement officer, does a good job making sure and helping out people where he can. So if they need any help, we'll help them where we can. But I just want to remind people to try to spruce up their properties, but things are looking really good right now. And also, we have a couple projects that I anticipate will be coming in. So the Department of Planning, we're busy already, but we'll continue to be busy with the Green property, which I do anticipate the first phase of that project coming in. If not this week, then I would anticipate potentially next week. We'll receive those plans and we'll get that scheduled on the Planning Commission. And that's all I have right now. Thanks.
Mr. Grimm, thank you so much. Appreciate the update.
Sure.
I'd like to call forward Ms. Erica Quisenberry Sturgill, the Director of Economic Development. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good
Thank
evening,
you.
Council. The Havre de Grace Downtown Merchants Association Alliance and Main Street Organization wanted me to remind everyone that Mother's Day is swiftly approaching on Sunday, May 9th. You have 6 days. 6. So several of our restaurants have special offerings, as do our cafes, shops, boutiques, theaters, B&Bs, museums, and art galleries. So there is something for your mom here in Havre de Grace. Make sure you come by and find that item she's looking for. There'll also be a Waterfront Mother's Day celebration Saturday, May 8th from 11 to 2 p.m. at the Lock House. I was asked to share that information that there'll be live music, children's activities, VIP mom packages, etc. Water Street Seafood has opened their crab deck. They're also offering Maryland steamed crabs, and with this weekend's excellent weather, they had live music on the deck, which was wildly popular. This past weekend during the Exceptional Defenders Day, the city's first microbrewery opened on North Washington Street with Battery Island Brewing Company. I'm not going to name all of the people that went and visited and enjoyed the beer, but thank you for visiting our newest business. We're moving closer to an opening date for the Forever Farmhouse at 421 Congress Avenue. Work is progressing for Haven Havre de Grace on Market Street, and the Uni Urgent Care Center has opened up at 1037 Pulaski Highway. Hours are 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sundays. And a quick reminder, the deadline for the COVID relief funding for hotels and lodging is this Wednesday at 5 p.m. For nonprofits, the deadline is June 4th. The Small Business Administration Restaurant Grant Portal opened at noon today, and applications are still being accepted for the SVOG, or the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, through the Small Business Administration. All of those links are active on the city's website for any of those portals for people to apply. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Quisenberry. Appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Sir.
Well done. Keep up the good work. We're going to go to Mr. George DeHorty, the Finance Director for the City of Havre de Grace. Good luck on your budget amendments, Mr. DeHorty. You're 3 for 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and thank you for the support for the budget amendments and for the budget and rate resolutions that you passed first reading tonight. The current status of the major funds is as follows. The general fund is sitting at just over $4.5 million, which is just about $1.8 million ahead of schedule. We started the year with $1,250,000 more than we thought. We have saved over $1 million in salaries and benefits, primarily due to City Hall being shut down for a good bit of the year and healthcare claims being well under where we anticipated them. Add to that our real property taxes are running about $110,000 ahead of schedule, That more than offsets so far the continuing poor trend of the income taxes, which is now running almost $450,000 behind schedule. But all in all, the winners are beating the losers, which is always a good thing. The Water and Sewer Fund is sitting at a current fund deficit of just under $300,000. The operating profit is almost $1.7 million. To that, we've added almost $2.3 million in capital fees, and we have spent a little over $4.5 million in capital projects and debt service for the fund. The Marina Fund balance has grown to just over $1 million, and it has increased this year by almost $200,000, which is the source of those funds for that, one of the budget amendments you heard tonight for the rehab of the marina. So the money will be used to help the infrastructure with the marina as well. And that's the current status of the three major funds, and I will certainly open the floor for any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Horty. Counselor, any questions for the Finance Director? Councilman Robertson.
Hey, do you get the feeling, George, that the income tax reimbursements is delayed just because of the speed of government right now with a lot of folks working at home, or do you think that it's due to people being out of work?
I think it's, like all good finance directors, it's probably a bit of both. We did have the extensions being granted for the income tax filing, which throws a question over how much of it is, but we've also seen the unemployment. So how much of it is due to the unemployment and reduced income versus how much is just people taking their time and the delays because of the extensions in filing that they've been granted. I would say it's probably 60-40 in favor of the extensions, is my guess right now.
All right, so my guess is we might end up with a little bit larger fund balance come July.
That is what we are hoping for.
Roger, thanks.
Yes, sir. Any other questions?
Any other questions, Mr. Horty?
Good.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank you very
sir.
much.
Thank you.
I'd like to call forward Mr. Tim Whitty, our Director of Public Works. Good evening, Mr. Whitty.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just give you a little bit of update. Number one is we've had the paving projects that we were working in with coordinating with BG&E are completed for this year. I think they're going to come in Washington State this year, but I believe they may be starting phase 5 on this summer, and we'll probably team up with them again to work on the paving the following spring. So that turned out, as I said, that's turned out to be a really good deal. We were able to get a lot of streets done, and more of on a shared cost ability. So it was a pretty nice deal there to be able to take advantage of that. Just an update on the existing projects that I have in construction. All the projects we identified this year for the capital projects are all in the phase of bidding by the contractors. That includes the 3 Waterline projects, Green, Wilson, Old Bay Lane. That's under, we had contractors, with their contract pre-bids already taken place, and we're waiting on the results. I think we'll probably get them about the second week in May. 2 sewer projects are a similar status, waiting on the final bids from the contractors. And then we have another project I talked about before was to get the intake pipe bid. We did that, had the pre-bid on Thursday of last week, and we actually had 4 contractors bid on that, so that's encouraging. Previously, we had maybe 1 or 2, so hopefully we'll get a good number that we can move forward with that project. And then the marina, we talked about that before. We actually had sent that out for bid last week as well, had a pre-bid meeting, and we're waiting on the results. Probably get that by the end of May, and we're going to go ahead with those tanks. As I explained before, the reason for the marina being bid out is it's going to take 30 weeks to get the fiberglass tank. So in reality, I'm going to award the contract to a contractor. We're not going to start construction until sometime in February. I'm hoping that's not a sign of things to come. GHD, last year we did we initiated this is sort of as I talked about the force main, so last week as well, I had a busy week with engineers. We met with GHD to start the project to scan the force main from the main pump station, determine the shape that it's in. Our preliminary investigations as we went on the field trip there was that the force main, the air release valves and the valves, at a minimum, we're gonna have to replace those. They've never been exercised, and you could see the air release valves have been turned off. They're just non-functioning. The air relief valves are important because sulfuric gas builds up, and that's what eats away at the concrete pipe. So if you don't have the air release valves in the high parts of the pipe, you can almost guarantee that you've got sulfuric acid gases collecting, and there could be some damage to the pipe. So whatever the outcome of this, if it's in good shape, we're still going to have to expend some cash on replacing the valves and the air release valves. In anticipation of the federal money, I've initiated, released an RFP for 3 Waterline projects replacements. They're at Congress, Revolution, and Commerce Street. It's a replace about 5,500 linear feet of 4-inch water main. These projects are identified in the water model that was done by GHD. As you saw out the front of the city hall there, we had a water main break on Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon. And the pressure we have to provide to get this water through the amount of water, 4-inch water line, it's almost like somebody sets, if we have a really nasty break, it's like somebody set a bomb off underneath there. So hopefully, as identified for these projects, to replace the 4-inch pipe, we'll be able to lower the pressure in the plant. I also released the RFP I talked about for the 12-inch to 16-inch line off 155. RFP was initiated for the Bully Rock Tower. That'll go out tomorrow for RFP for the engineering for that. And then I did and one of the things I also released was the tanks have to be replaced at Graceview and Lapidum. Before I can do that, I had to do a modeling to determine the size of those tanks. That update, that went out last week to GHD, authorizing to begin that, to determine the size of the tanks. We talked about, as I talked about before, with Graceview, it's a 2 million gallon tank. They're very difficult. You can hardly get anybody to build a 2 million gallon tank anymore. Very difficult to get a contractor, so we're gonna have to scale that one down and probably up the size of the Lapidum tank to kind of counter that out. So we have to determine those sizes. And then once that's done, then we'll send out engineering for design of the tanks. And then the other thing I did was I sent out a project for for Lafayette Street. It was identified from Adams to Concord for either for a rehab or replacement of the sewer along that stretch of road. As you go down Lafayette, you'll see areas where the pavement's sagging, and we seem like we have some structural failure with the pipe there. So those projects are, I'm trying to get it, as I said before, talked about it. I'm anticipating a lot of, we're not the only ones that are going to be benefiting from this infrastructure money. I'm trying to get things out in front, get the design, getting moving to get the project shovel ready so we can kind of get ahead of the game there. So that's sort of the game I'm working on right now. So, any questions? Sure.
Was Lafayette from where to
It's
where?
Lafayette from South Adams to Concord. Yes, South Adams to Concord Street. Yes. So.
Any other questions for Mr. Woody? Hey, Mr. Woody, thank you very much. Appreciate the update. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I'd like to call forward Chief Teresa Walter, Chief of Police.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, Chief.
Mayor, I wanted to let everybody, you and the council members know that last month we went through an audit through the Maryland Police Training and Standards Commission. They are a state agency, and they are the folks that they look at everything we do when it comes to hiring, doing background checks, police academies, their testing, our annual in-service testing, etc. And I'm happy to report that we are in full compliance with the standards that they set, which is always a good thing because they are the ones that certify every single police officer in the state of Maryland. So,
well done, Chief.
Yeah. Fortunately, we're not the only ones that go through the audit. Every law enforcement agency goes through the audit, but it is kind of an arduous task going through that. And I do want to compliment and thank Captain Joe Alton, because he's the one that has to make sure that everything's prepared and present them with whatever they happen to ask him for. So he did an outstanding job. The other thing I want to do is I want to thank the many businesses who have helped us out. It's that time of the year for the Torch Run and the Torch Run T-shirts. And we are selling the T-shirts. I'm going to go ahead and show it right here. So if anybody wants to purchase a T-shirt, we do have them for $15. And many of, like I said, many of the businesses throughout our city have either donated or purchased a lot of the T-shirts. In fact, we're on our second order of the T-shirts, but we do still have some available if anybody is interested. Thank you, Mr. Glenn. I know you've already purchased yours. They are $15, and you can see me, any of the captains, just about anybody in our police department. You can come right on in, and we will be more than happy to sell you a T-shirt. I also, with that being said, I also want to thank Evo and Bambi Johnson. They sold a lot of these at the Defenders Day celebration. It was outstanding because that money, most people don't really realize it, but the money that we raise for that goes for, we have a little over 8,000 Special Olympic athletes. So that money goes to them to help them with their training and the education and their leadership programs. So that's absolutely outstanding. So I do thank those businesses, the individuals that have already purchased T-shirts. Again, we really do appreciate it. The last thing I want to do is I want to give a big thank you to the fine folks at Bully Rock. This past Friday, they did a salute to our first responders here in our city. They had an excellent turnout. We really do appreciate all of the residents that do live in Bully Rock and their support. It's outstanding. We love the folks in Bully Rock. So we did appreciate them going ahead and doing that. That was also Saturday, right before the Defenders Day. And I believe that is it.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief, please?
Good.
Hey, well done, Chief. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
I'll be placing my order for T-shirts soon.
No problem, sir.
Okay, we're going to move to item 16, business from the mayor. Got a couple things to talk about, and let me start with the coolest thing that happened all weekend, and that's Defenders Day. So as I said the last council meeting, Defenders Day is a product of a resolution that was passed 2 years ago by council, in which the first weekend of May will always be celebrated and recognized as a city holiday, a municipal holiday, if you will. You know, you got federal holidays, state holidays. Now we have a city holiday. And why? Because 208 years ago today, May 3rd, 1813, the British Navy sailed up the Chesapeake Bay with their commerce raiding ideas of the inhabitants of the Chesapeake Bay, put their sights on Havre. The Royal Marines landed on shore and burned about 2/3 of our homes down in the city. You know, so why are we celebrating why would we celebrate such a bad thing? Well, you know, not a whole lot you can do about it when your militia runs away. All but one guy, of course, John O'Neill. But, you know, one of the things we celebrate really is the next day, May 4th, when we came back and we rebuilt our community. And I think we've been better ever since. There's something about Havre de Grace. We're different than anybody else. There's a lot of different theories behind it. But I think the character, sometimes in defeat, your character comes back stronger. And that was the idea behind the resolution that was passed by council, that it's worth noting in history what happened to our community. Wasn't great, but it made us stronger. And so that took place the first weekend in May, 1813. So we would like to recognize every Saturday, the first Saturday in May, as Defenders Day weekend. And we had this event down at the park. We didn't really get it up and running until around March because, you know, we had to really watch our COVID metrics, and we didn't want to seem, you know, obtuse to, you know, the environment of the virus. But we kind of gambled a little bit, thinking that by the time May 1st would come, that we would kind of be on the upswing, and so it worked out. It worked out, and I mean, my guess is a few thousand people showed up. The food trucks were busy. There was a wonderful play that started off the event by a local lady. Her name is Galen Price, and it was about 20-some people that dressed up in period outfit, and they did a very simple skit on stage that recreated the attack on Havre de Grace. A character played, Admiral Coburn from British Navy. A couple actors played local citizens that lived there at the time. So, which I thank all the men and women of the Mosaic Project, which is sponsored by the Arts Collective, for really bringing meaning to the day. So it was great because people were visiting our town and they were seeing a story that tells the story of our city. It says a lot about who we are. It's more than just concerts and food trucks and beer gardens. And it's a meaningful day for us who live here in Havre de Grace that we like to share and invite people from around to be part of it. It was very successful. I know that the Independence Day Commission that pays for the July 4th parade ran the beer garden, and they did very well because they have to raise money every year. And the parade costs between $40,000 to $50,000 every year, and this was a very good opportunity to raise money for our parade, which is a big event. And there was also great volunteers. There was over 40 people volunteered to work the beer garden, to work IDs and tickets, and there was concerts. Like I said, it was just, for something that we haven't done yet for a first time, it went really well. And for something that we didn't even really have planned on the books until 6 weeks ago, I think it was well attended. So Havre de Grace put their best foot forward on the first real big event since over a year. So, like I said, very proud of our city. Our city shined well. And it wasn't just the only thing going on. We had the Decoy Festival, and we had the Farmers Market. We had all kind of things going on. We had the first responder showcasing up at the Bully Rock parking lot. So, the genie's out of the bottle. I mean, COVID's not over yet. People are still getting it, and people are still getting very sick. Some people are still dying from it. We can't be, loose on what COVID can do to people. But, I always say if you don't make a step forward, you're not going to know what direction to walk into. So let's just embrace the small progress we make as a community. And as you know, Governor Hogan relaxed the laws on wearing masks outside, which I personally thought was a very good move, because if you don't start making if you don't make a step in the direction in which you entrust the American people to make decisions that affect themselves individually, how are we ever going to make a decision at all? So at least that's one step in a good direction. And so, let's stay smart about COVID. And the smarter we are about COVID, hopefully the faster it goes away. So next, we got some more events coming down the pike, including this Friday will be our first Fridays we've had in over a year. So that's a huge question. I'm sure all the council members up here get that asked all the time. Is the city having First Fridays this year? Is the city having First Fridays? And so we're having First Fridays, and it's going to be May 7th, this Friday, 5 o'clock till 9. So see everybody downtown. That leads me to one other important announcement I make. This is pretty significant. So Dave Anderson, when you're watching this at home, sorry, Dave Anderson is a reporter from Aegis, so get this one right. He does a good job. So we've talked the last couple council meetings about the federal stimulus package that was passed almost 2 months ago. And we talked about the idea that the city of Havre de Grace will probably be receiving something in the ballpark around $11.7 million. The money doesn't have a whole lot of guidelines, other than I've said before, you can't lower taxes with it, you can't put it into pensions. We know we can use for economic development some other things, some kind of infrastructure. Again, the National League of Cities is still working it out. My chief of staff is still attending these meetings. But we know it's coming. And what we also know is that every city that gets this money, and state and county, has until December 24 to spend it. Okay, we can probably handle that, but I need you guys to remember something. We're not the only city, state, or county getting this money. If anybody has seen the price of construction lately, price of wood, the price of materials, can you imagine how hard it's going to be to find a contractor when you have the states trying to spend billions, the counties trying to spend hundreds of millions, and the cities trying to spend millions, and they can all have to do it before December of 2024? There'll be contractors turning people down because they got bigger fish to fry. they'll be, at the projects will be on desks of places like, Army Corps of Engineers, needing permits and things like that. So it's not as simple as just saying, hey, look, what's your wish list, and just go ahead and punch it out. It's going to be a lot more competitive, and it's going to be a lot more thought than that. And so these are things, that personally I've been really staying up late at night thinking about, like, how do we execute this and execute it the best way for the city of Havre de Grace, but also, how do we look for an edge in competition with everybody else? So, and also when you think about spending that kind of money, and just $1 million alone is $50,000 projects. Something as small as putting a pickleball court in can sometimes give you a lot of grief. I mean, you just never know. I mean, just sometimes the littlest projects in the city can just devote your time to it. So that's one $50,000 project. Imagine what it is to do $1 million, and we got 11.7. So over the last month, I have had some discussions with my administrative staff, and I've decided to make a slight shift change in our organization structure. And so I'm announced tonight that starting within probably about 30 days, around June 1st is a target date, I'm going to entrust my current Director of Administration, Mr. Patrick Seipolt, to shift positions on a lateral move. He's going to go from Director of Administration, and I'm going to create a new position title for him, Director of Capital Projects. He'll be in charge of oversight of the expenditure of that money that we're going to receive, because we got 3.5 years to execute it. And plus also, if anybody ever done projects before of a large scale magnitude, you know that you need, sometimes you have to pay a lot of money to a project manager firm. They'll charge you 10%. And I don't feel like spending $1.7 million just to have a project managed, when I got a very competent project manager over there who's overseen a lot of the things we've done in the last 6 years, including the Opera House. He personally oversaw the construction of that. So Patrick, Mr. Seipolt is very capable of overseeing projects. So that leaves a vacancy in Director of Administration, and I have asked my Chief of Staff, Mr. Gambatoria, to move up to Director of Administration, which he's agreed to do. So Mr. Seipolt is slid over to a new position, Director of Capital Projects. Chief of Staff is moving up to Director of Administration. This is at least for the next 3 years while we have to deal with this situation room with the funding. And let us not forget, we also have money remaining from the $15 million bond that the citizens approved in February of 2020, and we still have those water and sewer projects that we're also overseeing the construction of at the time. We have a lot of stuff going on in the city, mega construction, mega improvements. But that also leaves the Chief of Staff vacancy open. Now, the Chief of Staff is a position that is new to this administration. I created that position about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. And I asked Mr. Gambatoria to fill that position for me, which has been, Chief of Staff Gambatoria has done a phenomenal job. I often think of the Chief of Staff position, if anyone knows football, like a linebacker position. Anything that gets through the front line, the Chief of Staff's like a linebacker, and just kind of plugs that hole. It's coming at you, and that's where it stops. Chief of Staff is a very complex role. They look for operational efficiencies constantly. They take care of hotspots wherever they grow up, pop up in a city. Employee issues, they often, got the back of the Director of Administration. Also serve as, a consultant to the mayor. Oversees projects. I mean, there's all kind of, the Chief of Staff position is a very, very universal position in the city of Havre de Grace. Very mobile, very flexible, and I often direct a Chief of Staff to go wherever they're greatly needed. And I mean, a lot of times legal issues or spending all weekend digging up documentation to, find a position that the city needs to take on a court issue or things like that. So with the Chief of Staff vacancy open, we're going to reimagine a couple things here in the way we do things. Decided not to add another head count, but rather to make it a more of a flexible role. And I'm going to go the route of hiring a consultant temporarily to fill that universal role. I know the word consultant sounds very temporary, but it's a little more permanent than that. But what I decided to do to fill this universal role is to go with a consultant, and the person that we're going to be hiring will be starting probably in a couple months, by the end of June, early July. This person is no stranger to Harford County. Matter of fact, is a friend of Harford County and a very good friend of the city of Havre de Grace. This individual actually is only one of 2 people ever to receive a key to the city while I've been mayor for 6 years. And this individual is retired Major General Randy Taylor from Aberdeen Proving Ground. He's retired from the Army back in the fall. He left Aberdeen and went to Omaha, Nebraska to be Chief of Staff for Stratcom. And he retired from the Army. And he's going to be a consultant for the city of Havre de Grace. And he's going to help us with operational efficiencies. He's going to help us with projects, permitting, all around, you know, chief advisor to the mayor. So, and it'll be, like I say, we're not adding headcount. It's just going to be a temporary assistance to this administration while we navigate these next 3 years, which are going to be huge. I can't stress enough to the citizens what a monumental task it is to work the budget you're already working, your normal budget, execute multiple projects in water and sewer. Meanwhile, you're still dealing with a water line that goes to Aberdeen. You're dealing with replacing water towers, if you listen to Mr. Whitty, replacing 100-year-old pipelines, changing filters in the water plant. The projects are endless, and then you're getting, you know, $11, maybe $12 million that you have 3 years to spend. Spend it wisely. I mean, it's just, these are a lot going on. It's a lot going on to keep things same old, same old. So you really need to reimagine some things. So I believe this current shift of responsibilities and then bringing in, you know, Randy Taylor with his help, I think we're on the right path. We're always going to stop and reevaluate how things go. But I just wanted to really reach out to my citizens tonight and say that we're not taking things lightly, and we're always preparing this administration for the next step. And so, again, things are fluid, they change at real time, but this is the plan. So stay tuned, there's more to come. And that's probably enough said. There's other things I can talk about, but I'm sure my fellow council members will bring them up and talk about them. But I just want to wish everybody next Sunday happy Mother's Day, all the moms out there. Thanks for being moms, and moms are important. And, you know, do something nice for your mom and take them out to dinner or cook them their favorite meal. So happy Mother's Day, everybody. And with that said, I will start off with Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens. Start on the mom quote. For any husband out there that's looking, you better get the card, because the cards that say mom or to my wife are hard to come by. So there's lots for kids to the moms and lots of cards to the grandmoms, but I didn't find that many cards out there. It took me 4 stores to find a card that I could give to my wife. So guys, it's coming. Start looking. We talk on a sad note. Mike Griffith, he lost his brother on Sunday. It was a sudden death, so prayers to the Griffith family for that loss. Now on a more positive note, Defenders Night was also prom night. And they watched the seniors be able to come down and have their picture taken in front of the lighthouse. And the fireworks were still going off when some of them were coming down, so it was an exciting night for them. So I want to recognize all the seniors for being able to come down, not necessarily to celebrate Defenders Day, but to celebrate their prom and the city of Havre de Grace. When we talk We Are the Grace, I know myself and the other council members and our candidates will not be able to attend the council meeting tomorrow night, the county council meeting. We have our municipal election. We will be there. We will be with you in spirit In that vein, I had a meeting with Patrick Vincente on Sunday and earlier in the week with Curta Beulah to let them know that our concerns. So I addressed those. They are expecting us to be there. Their comments are they are proud of the way We Are the Graces representing at the council meeting. So please, keep up your kind comments, keep up your pressure to the Board of Education and to the county council. They will stand up for us as long as we remind them we are watching. And with that, I will end it.
Thank you very much for your comments, Councilmember Martin. Councilmember Ringsacher, good evening.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I would like to start off by saying that it is currently Public Service Recognition Week, and I'd like to say thank you to all our city employees out there and everybody up here on the dais for their public service. And starting on Thursday, it's National Nurses Week, so thank you to my wife and all the other nurses out there. I had a great time at the Defenders Day. It was an amazing weekend. Couldn't have asked for better weather. It was the busiest day of the year. I didn't make it to the Derby party this year. I had to listen to it on my phone, but I had a great time, great people. I'm just glad to be out and about again. It's nice to be able to see people we haven't seen in almost a year. But with that, I'll just wish luck to everybody who's running for office tomorrow at the election, and I ask people at home watching on YouTube, make sure you come out and vote. If you're watching it on TV, it's probably too late. So with that, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Ringsacher. Councilmember Boyer, good evening.
Thank you. I want to join in on the kudos for the Defenders Day. It was it was so great to see so many people from all across the county, quite frankly, come to our town. I personally want to express my appreciation to all the city employees who worked that day. They did a fabulous job keeping the trash cans emptied and keeping the place cleaned up. I even saw some kudos put out on Facebook for the way that the bathrooms were kept. That they do such a fabulous job keeping our city clean and making a good mark for everybody who comes here. I want to also thank the Decoy Museum for a great Decoy Fest. I personally really enjoyed the venue outside there. Having all of the carvers have their wares right outside their trucks. It was really cool to be able to walk all around that. I recognize that the museum lost a large amount of money by not being able to have it at the middle school this year. Hopefully next year a different approach can be found, but I personally loved being able to walk outside and see all the carvers, and it was just a great experience. So I don't know if there's a way to put a balance between the two, but I appreciate that you did it. I'm very thankful that you did it, and I'm sorry that you didn't raise as much money as you had in previous years, but I personally loved the venue. Farmers Market was fabulous. Have we grown in the number of vendors this year?
Yes, we have.
And I think we still have room for more.
Yes, under the tent, they're actually going to be able to position more in there.
Yeah, it was great. It was great to see everybody walking around, and we'll just remind everybody, when you come down to the farmers market, you can bring your compostables and drop them off before you go buy some more stuff. And talking about the Green Team, you're going to notice on Seneca, in the food forest especially, it was also put up at the Victory Garden. There's now netting around the trees. The purpose of that netting is to protect the younger trees from the cicadas. Evidently, a young larva cicada climbs up the tree, and the mothers eat the ends of the branches, and they especially like younger trees, and that's where they lay their eggs before they go with their whole process. So you're going to see black netting on the trees. Please do not remove it. It's also around, I believe, the grapevine at the Victory Garden. And if you have any questions about it, please reach out to the Green Team. And if you have any younger trees that you would like to protect, they can help you identify what you need to purchase in order to protect your trees. Evidently, they just eat the ends of it, and it just damages the tree. I don't think it necessarily kills the tree, but it does damage them.
When they place the eggs on there too, it'll denature some of the branching.
Right. So I also want to point out that one of the beehives was vandalized, and we did lose a colony of bees this year. We're hoping to get another colony established there. But again, when you see the green team projects, whether it be the Victory Garden, the community gardens, or the beehive, etc., things are placed there for a purpose. Please do not move them. You might be wanting to see what the bees look like, and the green team would be happy to come out and teach you all about the bees and do a lesson for you, but please do not touch the boxes, because we will lose a whole hive that way. I want to wish everyone who's a candidate for election tomorrow good luck. I know it's been a long, guys out there too, it's been a long season, and you're at the precipice at the end, and you're probably looking forward to being able to just sit back and relax tomorrow as you're waiting for the counting to come in. So I want to say congratulations for a good election season. Everybody here in Havre Grace is better off for everyone running, and I want to thank you all for doing that. And finally, Mother's Day. I want to remind you all that life does not come with a manual. However, it does come with a mother. And nothing is really lost until your mother can't find it. So happy Mother's Day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and our citizens at home. So the first thing I want to do is thank Connor Sheffield for being here this evening and sharing his story. I first met Connor and his mother 2 years ago at First Friday when I was campaigning for city election. And I remember his mother stopping me in the middle of the street, and she had a petition in her hand and asking for signatures to support Connor's quest for being able to use his medical marijuana during the school day as needed. So it's hard to believe it's been 2 years, but it's amazing to see what he has been able to do by establishing a connection at Johns Hopkins for this disease and for children who suffer from this disease, and also for getting this legislation passed the way it has. And to hear tonight that it may be a national model is certainly encouraging for all young people, I think, who suffer from, I think, almost like orphan diseases that don't have many options in terms of pharmaceuticals and things like that that help them. So I want to thank Connor for telling his story, because it's an encouraging one, and I think it will encourage others. Which makes me think real quickly, I've been reviewing the scholarship applications for Seroptimus, and there's one young woman who's applying, and when she was 10 years old, she did a science project on bone cancer. So it kind of wakes you up to the promise that these young people have, and now they're getting ready to go off to college, and we're going to all benefit from that intelligence and perseverance. The other thing is I want to thank the Independence Day Commission for all their hard work this weekend. It wasn't only the Defenders Day, it was the much anticipated Bridgerton Promenade show that went on, I guess that you can call it that. But people really got into it. There were a lot of wonderful outfits that were worn, and at the last minute I was able to put something together so that I could look like a tea maid, if there's such a thing, handing out tea boxes. So I had my apron and my little bonnet, and I parked my car to go to the State Street Theater, and I ran into two women who are not from here, they're from Vermont. And as I approached, they said, "Oh, there's the baker." So I don't know if they thought I was part of the Bridgerton thing or if I had just walked out of Gold's Bakery. But at any rate, with my bonnet and my apron, I must have appeared to be a baker. So I'll accept a compliment. And I want to thank everyone who came tonight for the Historic Preservation Awards. Last year's winners and this year's winners, they were all very well deserved. And I also want to say something about We Are the Grace. They're just a wonderful group of parents and grandparents who are supporting education in Havre de Grace for their children. They've been very tenacious but polite. And I was able to meet 4 of the women in person this weekend. So that was nice to put faces with names. And I want to continue to wish them success in their endeavors and that ensure that we are behind them in their quest for Havre de Grace education for Havre de Grace students. That's my comments for this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Zinner, thank you very much for your comments. Councilmember Robertson, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen here and at home, city staff. Yeah, I just want to echo all the comments. First of all, Dina Cardwell, Emily Yeatman, everyone that had something to do with that prom, getting the prom together, everyone that donated something to that. I must have seen hundreds of pictures of local parents, with their kids going to a prom, and it's just really something that I think we all probably have taken for granted at this point, but something that's really going to be remembered by those kids for the rest of their lives. So thank you for everyone that made that happen. And also the Defenders Day, I got there a little late, so I had drill this weekend, but I was able to check out the fireworks and hear one of the bands as they were going out and get some food. So that was a really cool event. That was like a start to summer, basically. So, couldn't ask for better weather. Everybody was real polite and friendly. Thank you as well to DPW and to the police. Did an excellent job in executing their duties. So kudos, congratulations to the Havre de Grace Independence Day Committee on all of their efforts this weekend, including the Bridgerton. My wife and her buddy Roxy got to go hang out at that, and they had a good time. So thank you very much, and I look forward to what the rest of this year has to offer. I was looking at my calendar the other day because I was trying to find a weekend that's available later this summer, and Mr. Mayor, we've passed a lot of event applications already. So it's really, it's really hard to start finding dates now to plan for some other things. So congratulations, everybody. Good to see that we're getting back into the swing of things and getting all this mess behind us. So with that, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Finally, we're going to go to business from the council president.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. First off, I want to send out congratulations to Alan Fair and Jimmy Pierce. They were recognized Friday night at the annual kickoff for the Decoy Festival as Hartford County Living Treasures. And I can't think of two individuals that deserved it more, and I was so glad I could be there in attendance to see that honor bestowed upon them. Defenders Day, like everybody else said, what an awesome event. It's so neat to see our community get somewhat back to normalcy, and I can't wait for First Fridays. And I got to say, probably the one takeaway from this weekend was I didn't hear one complaint. When you have an event of that magnitude and nobody's complaining, you nailed it. As far as the balancing enrollment process, I got the opportunity to go to the last Hartford County Council meeting to support all the concerned parents on behalf of the kids and the so-called redistricting plans. I got to say that they did a remarkable job. They were very, very professional. They were very, very articulate in putting forth their comments. Of 26 people that spoke that night, most of them were from Havre de Grace. And I was really, really proud of what they did. As a proud graduate of Havre de Grace High School, it was great to see so much maroon in the room. It made me proud. And it's our hope that it's not a done deal. It's our hope that they take those concerns to heart, they listen to what our parents have to say, and they do the right thing. I mean, I, like them, want to see our kids going to our schools, and that's the bottom line. When you talk about schools, the other thing I think we can't forget this week, it's Teacher Appreciation Week. So make sure that you recognize those outstanding teachers for all they do each and every day for our kids. Election Day is tomorrow, and I know by the time this airs tomorrow night, the polls have been closed. But I want to say one thing to all the candidates. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You were so professional in this election process. There was nothing but positive campaigning. There was no negative campaigning. All you talked about was your resume, your past accomplishments, and what you wanted to do if you got elected to city council. And it's so reassuring. It serves as a role model for the rest of this country that we can run a positive campaign, because that's the way it's supposed to be done. And so with that being said, I wish all the candidates the best tomorrow. Every time we turn on the TV, it seems like all you hear is bad news, negative news. But yesterday I ran across some real positive news, and it's news that kind of gives us hope. And I don't know how many people saw the news last night, but there was a very violent accident in Ocean City on Route 90 bridge. Probably 5 cars. And it was so violent that a young infant was tossed over the guardrail into the Assawoman Bay. And some guy, some good Samaritan, got out of his car and he jumped over the railing into the water and rescued that child. There is hope for this community. There is hope for this nation to see people like that that don't think about themselves but think about others. And we wish all those that were involved in that accident nothing but the best. We wish the best for that child. Hopefully he made it. But just to see somebody just don't care about their own safety but think about others, again, it gives us hope. And as we go to close the meeting tonight, I want to remind everybody that we have to leave this council chambers immediately, because there's still work to be done tonight to prepare for the election tomorrow. So they want to clear everything out, get stuff ready. So as we close tonight, Mr. Mayor, I hope everybody, if you want to talk to friends and people here, we can talk outside. But with that being said, that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much for your comments there, Council President. Appreciate them. And that's going to take us to item 18 this evening, which is going to be comments from citizens. This is the part of the tonight's meeting that if you're here to speak on any other matter of business that was not on the agenda, it's a good time to be recognized. Now, I do have one pre-filled out form to speak, so I will call on that person first, and that's going to be Mr. Kevin Racine. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the Havre Grace City Council meeting. Please have your name and address for the meeting.
Yes, Kevin Racine, 818 Ontario Street.
Welcome.
May I pass this?
Sure.
Since I've been back home, I've learned a lot about transportation trying to get into Havre Grace and the electric cars and so forth. It's something that I picked up 2 of my certificates for when I've been working within the region, showing how we can get a public transportation around the Baltimore area, which is the Baltimore Metropolitan Council that I've been a part of, along with the MTA, along with what happens in Washington, and how other communities that don't think that that community belongs a part of the picture, and how we can bring it all together. There's a lot of plans that are being laid out presently that deal with the Route 40 corridor, and I know about those plans. When I go up to Wilmington and so forth, I've talked with people in general and showing how we're going to redirect traffic, dealing with the rails. How does bicycles, the walking areas, the trails and so forth that are already being planned. We're out to 2040 and 2050 already. And a lot of the things that are being planned are coming right through this community with our rails and so forth. The Greyhound that was placed on Route 40 was done several years back, and dealing with the fact of that if we're going to get everybody to work together, is how to lay the local transit into the regional transit, which takes into the state and beyond. And I've already been in contact with the people up in Wilmington, letting them know what we need to be getting done overall. and also with our Baltimore region that I used to work with. So my intentions is to come back home and to get things done. When people say that the money's not there and other projects are not going to be able to be accomplished, basic thing that just needs to be stated is that the people that I worked with 20, 30 years ago are still in the role play. I've worked with many of these attendees that have made the draft plans many, many years ago. And so I just want to keep relaying my message is that I need public transportation personally myself due to my disability. I have learned the extent of public transit in the future is going to be unbelievable. It's incredible and how we're going to be able to get around. And so we need to understand what the local concerns are, what the regional concerns are, and how are we going to benefit from that. So if there's anything that I can do with the people that I've worked with, even in the past and into the future, I know those individuals personally. We're in contact with each other on basically a daily basis. I'll be amazed at how many phone calls that I have received, even with me coming back home to Havre de Grace, which I'm very proud of, seeing that Havre de Grace is my home. So if there's any questions on what my position is to where other people's positions are, I'm more than welcome to take on any tasks that you may be looking at. I know how I travel, and I can tell you today, I can take you to upper state New York with no car and all the way down through Virginia with no car. And I have people that will be calling me and ask me, how do I get around? So it's just encouraging to me to see that the electric trolley is coming to Havre de Grace. I don't have to get on a bus and go to another county to work on their project because I know that I will be able to get from one point to the next. Okay?
Thank you, Mr. Racine. Any questions?
Yes.
Any questions? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
Thank you
you.
very much. Have a good evening. Thank you. Who else wishes to speak? Sir. Good evening and welcome to the City Council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record?
Absolutely. My name is Mark Kemmler, representing the Havre de Grace Ambulance Corps, 1601 Level Road. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council.
Welcome,
Thank you.
sir. Welcome.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I promise to keep it short. When the pandemic started last year, members of the Ambulance Corps saw most events that we look forward to being postponed or canceled. We were looking for something that we could do that would be safe for our community. We saw that many of the fire companies here in Harford County and abroad were doing food truck events. So we thought maybe this is something we could do. We have a perfect venue. If you've been to our station, you've seen it. We have a large pavilion. We know that we could get support from our community. So last year in July, we started Food Truck Sundays. And we ran it for 8 Sundays to see how it would be received. Well, the community came out and supported us big, and every Sunday. We actually had a family from Philadelphia that came up and told us that they loved coming to Havre de Grace. Several folks from Baltimore City and other parts of the county and country, or out of the county and state were there. We saw regulars each week, and many came and got food to go. When our final Sunday came last year, I got several messages and emails from people wanting us to keep it going. We had a very successful run and appreciate everyone's support. So I'm happy to report that we're coming back, as Mr. Seibelt said earlier, with Food Truck Sundays. We're starting May 16th, and we're going to run it every Sunday, except for July 4th, because we're going to be kind of busy that day, until September 26th, from 4 to 8 p.m. in our back parking lot at our station located up on 155. Many of the food trucks that you saw down at Defenders Day will be there on hand. and they'll be serving up their delicious cuisine. We will have 4 to 7 trucks each week, including Jimmy's Famous Seafood, which will be there every other Sunday, as well as other specialty trucks, ice cream trucks, and tasty dessert trucks. This year, we're happy to announce that the newly opened and very popular Hopkins Farm Brewery will be bringing their mobile brewery with 12 taps down for 15 of our 19 Sundays. On the Sundays that they can attend, Independent Brewery will be there with us. So each Sunday we'll have live music, a brewery, and some very talented folks up there on our newly constructed performance stage that we put together from 5 to 7. We'll also have several vendors, including Tastefully Simple and 31 on hand. Members of the ambulance corps will be there selling cold bottled water to keep everybody hydrated, and some of our members will provide demonstrations, as we did last year, with some of our life-saving equipment. As we did last year, CDC guidelines will be followed. Our tables and our pavilion are spaced out, but we can accommodate families. This is an event for the entire family, including the family dog, as long as they behaved and are on a leash. So beginning May 16th, there's no need for any of you to cook dinner. Come up and join us at the ambulance corps from 4 to 8. Our parking is free, there's no admission fee, and you can come up and check it out. You can go to our Facebook page, which is Havre Grace Ambulance Corps Food Truck Sundays, to see what trucks are coming up each week. On our first event, May 16th, WHGM will be on hand for our first event, and they'll do a live broadcast there for us. Many of you came up last year, and we appreciate your support, and we hope to see you again this year. Our event is rain or shine, and I thank you all for your time. And on another quick point, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank Mr. Shane Grimm for his positive comments and support at our county variance hearing for our new LED sign, which we're putting in front of our station. This is a almost 3-year project. We've been trying to get this LED sign up in front of our station, and I'm happy to report that the variance has been approved. The new sign will be installed, which will be activated when our units respond, and they'll have an activation alert out there, so people coming on each way of 155 will know that the ambulance is coming down the driveway. It'll also advertise our Food Truck Sundays, and it'll also be available for other emergencies which may occur in the city. So we're happy to report that's going to be installed very soon. So I thank you all for your time.
Fantastic, Mark. Thank you so much for sticking around to tell everybody about that wonderful event. I can't wait to, I can literally walk to it from my house.
Yeah, you can come to it, really.
All my life I've been jealous of people downtown. They can walk to these events. I live up in Grace Harbor. I literally can see the ambulance corps from my house. I'm thinking, that's me now. I'm that guy. I can walk to the event.
No excuse. 'Cause
everyone else from downtown has to get a ride to walk to the event. So, no, I'm very happy about it. And so there's no food trucks for Mother's Day?
Yeah, Mother's Day, no.
9th?
We won't have any trucks. We're starting
right.
May 16th, so.
I probably wouldn't go
the
too well taking Mother's Day to a food truck, but
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's,
just thinking outside the box, right?
Sunday after Mother's Day.
Okay, well, I got you.
16th.
May 16th, okay.
We will be down at First Friday giving out these cards. I'll leave some with Mr. Seibold, and you can pass them out, so.
Fantastic.
Everyone will be able to see, keep this on the refrigerator and know when to come up and join us.
Perfect.
Every Sunday except for July 4th, because we're going to be doing other things here in the city.
That's perfect. Thank you again, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other citizen in the audience wish to address the council on any matter of city business? Okay. Council, to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by the council president. Second by Councilmember Martin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn. The May 3rd, 2021 council meeting carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 9:26. I now adjourn this meeting. I thank everybody. Please be safe. And don't forget to vote.